Hi friends, how are you? I'm Nicole and this is Crimes with Cole. So, hello. How are you guys doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have been doing great and well and are ready for another crazy case. In today's case, we will be talking about just how far someone is willing to go for a particular lifestyle and money. Today's case is about Kelsey Turner. Now, Kelsey Turner was an aspiring model from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Arkansas couldn't give Kelsey what she wanted, which was this glamorous and luxurious lifestyle. So, in 2016, 22-year-old Kelsey moved out west. She was young and determined to make it big and would not let anything get in her way. But from the outside looking in, Kelsey was just another 20-something-year-old girl trying to make it big. On her social media profiles, there were a overwhelming amount of pictures of just her flaunting herself and, bikini pictures and lingerie and, just simply partying with friends at nightclubs, portraying herself to be something she simply wasn't. What Kelsey wasn't portraying was that she was actually a single mother of 2 young children, just trying to make ends meet. Using her looks to her advantage, Kelsey's modeling did not go unnoticed. She was featured in Playboy, Maximum, and a few other small, similar type magazines. During magazine interviews, Kelsey would actually come on to say that she was simply living her life, fully aware that it was the only one she was going to get. She described herself as impulsive and a Russian-American blonde, just trying to change the world. She loved thrills and fun, but also said that she liked meeting men outside of the modeling community because all of the men in the modeling world were complete losers, according to her. Thomas Butchard was a 71-year-old psychiatrist living in San Luis, California. Now, he was originally from Boston, but moved to California to attend UCLA. After UCLA, Thomas went to med school and realized that he wanted to specialize in children's psychiatry. Thomas performed extremely well academically and landed hospital residencies at some of the most prestigious hospitals in the country. He eventually started his career at the Community Hospital of Montreal Peninsula in California. Now, Thomas didn't have any children of his own, but he loved kids, and he truly believed that he was making a difference in their lives. He was a member of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles, and he loved playing magic tricks on all the little kids. But because of his successful career and his financial status, he often helped those in need. Even at 71, he was halfway retired because he just loved working so much. And he felt like these kids needed him. So he didn't want to retire fully. Now, in the early 2000s, on a trip to Vegas, Thomas had met a lady by the name of Judy, who later became his long-term girlfriend. Now, Judy was 12 years younger than Thomas and had 3 children. Judy had moved with Thomas from Las Vegas to California with her 3 children, where they raised, goats and horses and pigs and other farm animals. And Judy said that with all the money that Thomas had, he never spent any of it on himself, but he was always giving lavishly to others. She said between his beard and his glasses and smile, he reminded her of the medical Santa Claus. He would give the shirt off of his back to anyone, and his reputation would back that up. Thomas was known for being a damaged woman philanthropist. He would especially help out single moms who were on the verge of becoming homeless or addicted to drugs or involved in soliciting and selling themselves. Now, in 2017, Kelsey had met Thomas. It isn't really clear exactly how the two had met. Kelsey, along with her mother, said that the two were not in a relationship, but Kelsey's mom thought, Thomas could help out financially. I mean, after all, Kelsey fit the stereotypic profile of those who Thomas helped. Now, Judy was well aware of Kelsey, but Kelsey was not like the other single women that Thomas had been helping. Kelsey was extremely demanding of Thomas's constant attention, time, and money. She just seemed to have needed more help than any other woman that Thomas has ever helped in his entire life. Now, Thomas was paying for Kelsey's rent for her condo, which was like roughly $3,000 a month. Now, in this condo lived Kelsey, her two kids, and her mother, Samantha. And he had ended up paying for her rent for over a year. Now, Judy would say that Thomas ended up giving Kelsey over $300,000 over the span of a year, during the duration of their friendship, if we want to call it that. That $300,000 wasn't enough for Kelsey. She needed more. Judy was confused about where on earth all of this money was going to. She knew it was Thomas's money. She knew Thomas was not in need of any money and that Thomas had a heart of gold and enjoyed helping other people. But when your rent is paid for and you're getting an additional $300,000 a year, what are you spending it on? That's a lot of money. And Judy knew Kelsey was a money-hungry leech. She knew that Kelsey was taking advantage of Thomas and going to get him for all that she could. Being concerned for this man that she's been in a relationship for a long time now, Judy told Thomas that he needed to cut Kelsey off. He needed to stop paying for her rent, and shockingly, Thomas listened to Judy and he stopped paying Kelsey's rent. Now, this infuriated Kelsey, as you can only imagine, and she knew Judy was behind all of this. And although Thomas did cut Kelsey off financially, he still kept in contact with her. Kelsey had sent Thomas a text saying how Judy was on her shit list. And if she gets evicted, then she's gonna, kill her. But Thomas, like most older people, just figured Kelsey was like, a young 20-something-year-old girl, and she's emotional and is just, talking to talk. There is no way that she would actually go through with that plan. She's not capable of that. Now, Kelsey was not paying her rent because, she had no way to pay it after Thomas had cut her off. So naturally, when we don't pay rent, we get evicted. And this is what happened. Except Thomas came in and saved the day, evening up all of the debt owed to the landlord for all of the months that she didn't pay. And he actually ended up paying for Kelsey to move to Paradise City, Nevada. Kelsey had moved into her new place with a roommate and her son because I don't believe that she had custody of her daughter. Kelsey's roommate was Diana Pena. She was a part-time nanny to Kelsey's son and also worked at the Caesar Palace and the Coliseum bartending at night. She didn't know Kelsey that well, but, she was living there rent-free, so I guess for her, it was, working out pretty well. Kelsey's other roommate was a guy named Jeremy, and his girlfriend would come over and, stay on and off, and Jeremy would go to her place and stay on and off too as well. Greg was Kelsey's boyfriend who also lived in this, condo as well. So you have two couples, Diana and Kelsey's 4-year-old son, all living in this condo. Kelsey and Greg's relationship was toxic and always resulting in the two fighting, eventually leading to Greg going to jail for battery. That's how bad some of these fights would get. So when the relationship had ended, Kelsey quickly rebounded into another guy's arms by the name of John Kennison, who liked to be called Logan. Now, Logan moved in around February 2019. During that time, Thomas and Judy had came to Vegas for a medical conference, and Kelsey knew that Thomas was in the area and saw this as optimal opportunity to get more money from Thomas. So she had texted Thomas telling him how her boyfriend was abusing her and she needed help, which if you pull up the court records, there are records of one of her boyfriends with battery charges and Kelsey being the victim. So I could see where, if you needed proof, she could use that, but it wasn't the current boyfriend that was living with her. She also told Thomas how she was just so sick and needed help with her son. So in March 2019, Thomas had hopped on a flight to Vegas. When he landed, he had called Judy to let her know that, he was going to be in Vegas for the weekend and he'll be back on Monday. But Judy had a strong gut feeling he needed to come back home a little sooner than Monday. When Thomas had landed in Vegas, he actually ended up staying with Kelsey and just really trying to figure out the situation that she had gotten herself into. He paid for rent from March up until June. Now on March 7th, 2019, in the early morning hours, a family was out driving near the, remote area in the desert in Nevada, east of Lake Mead. And they noticed a blue Mercedes that was weirdly parked and had a rock thrown through the window. So, they called the police and reported this car. The police had arrived to this abandoned car. They quickly noticed that the car looks like there was an attempt to set it on fire, along with blood covering the seats and bottles everywhere, and a god-awful smell that only made them think it would be one thing. When they opened up the trunk, that theory, based off of their senses, was correct, and a body was found. This person was unrecognizable. After being bludgeoned to death, there were bruises and cuts all over their face, their neck, their chest, their arms. Their head had been bashed in, and half of their ear was missing. On March 16th, the police had announced that the body they found was that of Dr. Thomas Butchard. When police had notified Judy, by that time, Judy had already called and filed a missing persons report. Judy had called Las Vegas police the day that Thomas was due to return home and reported him missing. Judy said that at that time, Thomas was showing slight early signs of dementia, that, he had forgotten how to use the TV remote once. Or, there was a few times where he didn't recognize Judy's kids and even got lost in places that he was very, very familiar with, and it was just random moments that this would happen. So she didn't know if maybe Thomas, had an episode of dementia. Maybe he forgot that he was supposed to come home that day and he thought he was supposed to stay for a conference. Or maybe he had fallen victim to something else. She also said that Thomas always carried $1,000 cash with him in his wallet, alongside a notepad that had all of his passwords and pins on it. Seems a little risky to me, but Judy wanted to go to Vegas and see him for herself to really confirm that this was Thomas, but the funeral said absolutely not. No, you cannot come here because we can't do any restoration on his face. And at this point, he was blue and green. And that's not necessarily the last image you would want of a loved one. After searching and searching, the police had no leads as to who could have done this and asked for the help of the FBI. They discovered the Mercedes was registered to a man in Nevada, and when the police came banging on this man's door ready to arrest him, he was confused because he had subleased the car to a woman named Kelsey Turner. So now the FBI was out to find Kelsey. They had caught word of her crossing the border and was hiding out in Stockton, California, just 3 weeks after Thomas was found. Las Vegas police made arrangements for Kelsey to be extradited back to Las Vegas, but because Kelsey had just revealed that she was pregnant, the process of extraditing her was put on delay due to some medical screenings that had to take place. The police claimed at this point that they had information to support the fact that Kelsey and Thomas were actually having an intimate relationship. But, Kelsey's attorney said that it was more like Thomas was infatuated with Kelsey, not so much of like an intimate relationship. When the Mercedes was hauled off to the crime lab, they noted that the 2 front windows were down, that there were bloody clothing and bed sheets like piled up on Thomas's partially clothed body that was crammed in the trunk and had severe trauma to his head by an unknown object. There was blood on the seats and a small fire that had been started on the passenger side. When officers arrived at Kelsey's house, the blinds were all up, the lights were all on, and the mail was piled up in the mailbox, along with packages sitting on the front porch. When you went around to the back, the windows were opened and the door was unlocked. After officers, had stepped inside, no one was to be found, but there was a ton of cleaning supplies along with this overwhelming odor of ammonia. After the Mercedes was fully processed, detectives found DNA evidence, bloody clothing, and Thomas's house keys in the Mercedes. They noticed someone tried to clean up the mess, and they weren't quite sure if Thomas was attacked inside the car or if he was attacked before that and then put inside the car. However, it did suggest that Thomas was removed from the passenger's door and then placed in the trunk. The police came back with a search warrant for Kelsey's house and had removed a blue and white striped towel, which matched a towel found in the Mercedes. There were footprints, blood splatter in the bedrooms with like circular stains of blood on the floor, almost like someone was using a rag to try and clean up. Now, cell phone records indicated that Kelsey was home from March 1st to March 5th, then left on March 6th and never returned. And on March 7th, she completely turned off her phone. Thomas's phone records indicated that he had died between March 3rd and March 6th. As of March 13th, Kelsey's phone was still turned off, and she never reported her car missing or stolen. So this led police to believe that Kelsey was on the run. On April 13th, another person was arrested in connection to the murder. Diana Pena, Kelsey's roommate, was charged with the conspiracy to commit murder and murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Diana's fingerprints were found on the Mercedes, along with her, work ID badge and prescription bottles. But police thought that Kelsey, Diana, and Logan, Kelsey's boyfriend, that they had all fled before Kelsey and Diana were arrested, because Logan had actually talked to the police, but then, he left and wasn't seen or heard from for 6 days. When he was found, he was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder and murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Logan was already an ex-convict for distributing substances, and he actually ended up serving 6 months in prison for that. Logan's court-appointed attorney said that, they couldn't really see anything in this case that would tie Logan into the death of Thomas. When Kelsey first arrived at court, she wore, this baggy orange suit. And it was very clear that she was pregnant, but her body language just suggested that she was more annoyed by the fact that she had to be there than being sorry for what she had done. Both Logan and Kelsey said that they had nothing to do with this, but Diana beat them to the punch and took a plea deal. She told the judge that she would help build a case against both Logan and Kelsey. Now, Diana had always maintained her innocence and made it very clear that she had not planned to murder or was involved in the act of murdering Thomas. But, taking this plea was basically her saying that, she should have came to the police sooner. Diana had confirmed that Kelsey had an intimate relationship with Thomas, and that Kelsey and Thomas and another girl named Katie had came to pick Diana up from work that night, and they were heading back to the house. And Kelsey had Thomas's phone for, the GPS or something, but she started going through his text and found out that Thomas had been receiving sexual messages and nude pictures from Kelsey's mother. Kelsey was infuriated and started screaming and hitting Thomas as they're, driving back to the condo. And once they all got back there, a friend of Kelsey's came and picked up her son for the night. Thank the Lord. And Kelsey told Thomas, she just needed some time to cool off. So Thomas went upstairs to one of the bedrooms, giving Kelsey the space, that she had requested. And Kelsey would just go upstairs and try to talk to Thomas. But every time she did this, every time she would go to talk to Thomas, she would instantly get mad and lose her temper, causing her to have to go back downstairs. And Kelsey would continue to just scream and yell at Thomas. And after threatening him that he better, pay up, give her money, Thomas slammed the door shut and locked it. Instantly, Logan just jumps up, grabs a bat, runs upstairs to kick in this bedroom door that Thomas has locked himself in. Diana said she saw the bat in the air, but she didn't actually see it make contact with Thomas. But after she had grabbed the bat from Logan, she did see, this red-purple bruise up around the temple area on Thomas's head. Now, Kelsey and Logan had gone downstairs. Diana stayed upstairs and helped Thomas, attend to his head. Thomas said, he just needs to go to the hospital. This is when they had all gone to the garage to get into the Mercedes. And Thomas told Diana that he was just going to tell the hospital that he was mugged so, no one would get in trouble. He just wanted to go to the hospital and get medical attention. He also said that he was scared Kelsey was going to end up killing him. Kelsey and Logan said, they needed to clean up first before they left. And Thomas said, no, I need medical attention immediately. We need to leave now. And Kelsey, to no surprise, started screaming and yelling again. And at this point, Diana and Thomas, got out of the car. Diana decided to just go inside and go upstairs to her room. But Thomas refused to leave the garage. He did not want to go inside. He stayed in the garage. And at this point, Diana overheard Kelsey tell Logan that, he just needed to knock Thomas out. That Kelsey had seen Logan do this multiple times to other people, and it never seemed to be a problem for him. So there shouldn't be a problem with him doing this to Thomas now. Diana said when she came back downstairs, at that point, she was going to tell Kelsey, you need to stop this. You need to knock it off. Let Thomas go to the hospital. But at that point, it was too late because she saw Logan walking in from the garage, covered in blood splattered, across his face, and a gun covered in blood. Diana said she panicked and she started crying. She didn't know what to do, so she just started cleaning. Kelsey said that she was going to say that Thomas had left that night and, he had to go to California with a couple guys. She didn't know them, but, left his bank account information along with his cell phone behind. Diana had left that night. She left. She went and stayed with her boyfriend. A couple of days later, the police came to do a welfare check on Thomas, and Kelsey freaked out. They booked a night at the Mandalay Bay Hotel for Kelsey, Logan, Diana, and Kelsey's son to go stay so that they weren't at the house. And while they were there at the hotel, Diana said that she heard them talking about disposing of Thomas's phone, but, she wasn't sure exactly what they ended up doing or how that part of the plan played out. Now, after their night there, all four of them had returned back to, the condo to finish cleaning up. Logan had left with the car to go get rid of it, but Diana wasn't sure where he had gone exactly. And Kelsey had called a professional cleaning service and said that she, threw this party and it had gotten out of hand. And, all of the blood was basically just red wine that had been spilt and she needed it cleaned. Now, after they had cleaned up the house, they booked a night at the Rio Hotel. And right before they were getting ready to check in, they had heard how Thomas's body was found. And at that point, they just started, couch surfing between friends' houses and hotels until a couple of days later when a friend picked all four of them up and drove them out to California. While all of this is going on, Jeremy, the other roommate, he was not at the house that night. He wasn't, he had been staying at his girlfriend's house. He said, he had left after Kelsey started displaying bizarre behavior. He said one night while Thomas, was staying there, his girlfriend had came over and, she had been drinking and was just chatting with Thomas. And Kelsey flipped out and started screaming at Jeremy and his girlfriend, claiming that his girlfriend was trying to take Thomas away from her. And at that point, Jeremy and his girlfriend just left and they stayed at the girlfriend's house. But he did say that when he went to return to the house on March 6th, he tried to get in, but all the doors were locked. He didn't have a key or a garage door opener for whatever reason. But at this same time, the police came to do a welfare check on Thomas. The police showed up, but since Jeremy couldn't get in the house, they left. Jeremy called Logan to meet up and, get a garage door opener so he could get inside. I mean, his stuff was still in there. And after meeting Logan at the Rio Hotel, Jeremy returned to the house and went inside and just said it did not seem right. The broken door, the smell of ammonia, and just how clean the home was, which he said was usually pretty dirty. I mean, you essentially have 4 young adults living in this place together, and they live in Vegas. They're young. They probably go out and party a lot, and then you also have her son, and I would imagine it is probably not something that is super clean and organized. Kelsey said this aroma smell was from a cat. and then texted Jeremy's girlfriend asking her to replace the broken door so that the landlord wouldn't get mad, that she can use Thomas's credit card to pay for it. And Jeremy said absolutely not. They aren't going to call to get this door fixed, and felt Kelsey was just being weird. Like, I mean, a few days ago, she was screaming at her about trying to steal Thomas away, and now she's being nice and friendly, saying, oh, here's Thomas's credit card. Go fix the door, please. Kelsey and Logan were awaiting their trials and held in jail without bond. They were going to be tried together, and during one of their first court appearances, the judge got pissed because Logan kept flashing this note to Kelsey that read, "Love you, lil' mama." Come June 2022, Logan changed his mind and decided to plead guilty to second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. He was sentenced to 18 to 45 years in prison. Kelsey had ended up giving birth to a baby girl while in prison and does not have custody of her. The father is unknown, but it is not believed to be Thomas's child. Now, while in prison, Kelsey is not giving up on extorting men for money. She had multiple inmate dating profiles on this website where she says, she's currently in prison for a murder she did not commit. She also had shot 2 months worth of footage for the show Love After Lockup, except the episodes with her in them were never aired because I guess TLC wasn't going to pay Kelsey, and so she got mad and refused to have it released. But the person that she was, supposedly dating during those few months had, put this video out, and, Kelsey acted like she had no idea why TLC would never air her episodes, and she was just completely oblivious to it all, and, So while in prison, Kelsey started a clothing brand with some business partner and called it Bad Barbie LLC. Fast forward to November when it was time for Kelsey's trial to begin, and this case hit headlines once more, except this time it was about how Kelsey took an alpha plea. Kelsey's sentencing in January 2023 stated that she is to serve 25 years in prison. It's just amazing what money and greed can really do to someone. And I'm also curious to know, what does Kelsey plan on doing after all of her good looks fade? After she doesn't have that appeal that men want any longer to get what she wants? I don't know. But I do know that this is an unfortunate case. That Thomas was not the only rich man out there in Vegas. And that she could have preyed on many men to get financial gains that she wanted. And instead of doing that, instead of finding a path to find a new opportunity, she chose to take this man's life. So you'll have to let me know what you guys think. But please remember, until next time, to be safe, and I will see you then. Bye.